Thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Drop. I'm your host, Myron. Today, we've got the last in the series. This is the Maker's Mark BEP. Shout out to my man, Hank. He was down in Kentucky visiting his cousin. He went to a liquor store, FaceTimed me. They didn't have pretty much anything that I don't already have. So I asked him, look, see if they've got the new Blue Label Makers. He asked the guy, pulled it out from behind the counter. Now you've got it on the channel. Shout out. Thank you, Hank, man. I appreciate it. Let's get it.
Bottle drop. Bottle drop.
I really have been trying to get these bottles on the channel. This is my first ever wood finishing series, Maker's Mark, on the channel. I came across the BRTO2 late in 2022. I was coming from the golf course. This guy had it at his store, and I really wanted it, man. But it was way more over retail than I was willing to pay for. So I'd say early 2023, I got the BRTO2. Then a month later, before I had a chance to edit the video and put it out, I stumbled across the BRTO1. So I tell myself, well, no sense in putting them out back to back. Might as well combine the video and do one video. Then I come across the new BEP series. My man Hank, he was down in Kentucky. He was visiting his cousin. He went to a liquor store. And like I said, he FaceTimed me, and they didn't have anything that I wanted, and I just told him to ask for it, and they had it. So shout out again, Hank. Hey, and shout out to Kyle, man, because Kyle was looking at one of my Bourbon Haul videos, and he noticed that they had another dunk bottle. So I had to go back and get that thing because you don't run into them all the time. But before we go any further, please hit the like button, comment on the video, and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you get the rest of these videos. But anyway, back to the BEP. So this is Maker's Mark, barrel entry proof. Makers, they put their whiskey in a barrel at 110, and they pretty much age them after that for, it doesn't say on the bottle, but they age them for quite some time, and then we get what they put out. Now, this one here comes out at a certain proof, and they just proof it back down to the barrel. That's why they call it barrel entry proof. So we get the full flavors that Maker's Mark supposedly puts it in the barrel at. Now, you've got 10 virgin oak staves. Now, these are American oak staves, and I noticed that in the FAEO1 series and in the BRTO2 series, you get the American oak staves. In the FAEO2 series and the BRTO2 series, you get the French oak staves. But I had to ask myself, are we just chasing 46 cask strength? Because I've got an empty bottle of 46 cask strength right here, and it comes in at 110 proof. Now, don't get me wrong, the 46 cask strength is good, but is it the same thing? We all know that's the reason why they had the barrel rotation, because we all know that different places in a warehouse can cause the whiskey to taste different. They're putting out different expressions, and they're putting those different expressions out every year. So are we, when we chase the BRTO2 series, are we just chasing the Maker's Mark 46 cask strength? I don't know. You guys tell me. However, they are damn good. But let's get into the BET. Let's get into the nose. That's got a nice nose, man. It's got a nice fruity nose, and I typically don't pick up fruit on Maker's Mark. A little bit of chocolate, a little bit of vanilla. There's like a nice berry note in there. Normally when it comes to Maker's Mark products, I pick up like this sweet dough note. Let's get into the palate. Wow. Wow. A little bit of spice. A little bit of that spice kicked up into the nose, but it wasn't bad. It actually goes down very easy. A lot of that berry transfer over. It's got a really nice honey note. It's got a beautiful mouthfeel. Let's go back into the nose one more time. Yeah, there's like a milk chocolate covered berry that is just in this glass, man, in the nose. Let's go back into the palate. That's really nice. It's got a nice amount of oak. It's got a little bit of like a spicy kick to it, but not bad. Goes down very smooth. The finish finishes with a dark chocolate. So since this one is so good, and I remember the BRT01 and 02 series being a little hotter, I figured since I never got a chance to put them out, might as well get them on camera. So I'll get these two poured up and get back to you. Now that I've got them poured up, we'll just have a really quick flight. I'll see if these are as hot as I remember them, and this one is as smooth and better than the other two as I remember it being. Let's get into the nose. Oh, wow. That is a maple syrup covered pancake all day long. There's a little hit of citrus. There's a little hint of citrus. Let's go into the palate. That maple syrup, it just does not transfer over to the palate. That sweet dough note does. That's why I said it was like a maple syrup covered pancake. Wow. But it comes across a little thin. The mouthfeel is not in there. And it is a very spicy, almost spiky note that's on the palate. Let's go into the BRT02. Very sweet dough note. Let's go into the palate. The BRT02 has a better mouthfeel. It is a little spicier. Those spicier, spikier notes really punch on the mid palate. The back comes across with a lot of char, and that's pretty much it. It does have a better mouthfeel, but I would have to give the flavor to the BRT01. Now let's go back into the BEP. The fruit notes are still there. Let's go back in. All of those fruit notes transfer over. It's got like just like a red berry note, and it's got this really soft mouthfeel. It's got a really viscous mouthfeel. It's much better. It's almost like a milk chocolate. The difference between a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate. So when you eat a milk chocolate, it's got that creaminess, it's got that sweetness. You eat a dark chocolate, and it's like it's sweet, but it's got this bitterness and that bitter sharp notes that just bite you back. And that is what I am picking up out of these two glasses, especially the BRT02. So let's get into the breakdown. Is the BEP worth the chase? I am going to have to say yes. I am going to chase all of these. If you cannot tell by now, I am representing with the red BD for Bourbon Drop. I am representing for Maker's Mark with the colors on today. I am a fan of Maker's Mark. I had two buddies that were two totally different personalities. One told me to stay away from Maker's Mark. The other one, that's all he loved. And I am glad that after listening to the first buddy, I finally listened to the other buddy and gave it a shot, because I am a fan. This thing is worth the chase. Every release that they have has been good, in my opinion. I have not had one bad Maker's Mark release. Are they worth over retail? That is a different story. When I told you the story of the guy having it for over retail, he had it for about $110 or $120. I was not willing to pay that for that bottle. That is almost double, because these bottles typically retail at $69. I happened to pick the BRT02 up first at $69. Then I was able to get my hands on the BRT01 at $69. So I picked both of these up for retail. If I had to go for retail or over retail, I would say yes, they are worth over retail, but 10 to 15 bucks over retail, because at $70, $85 is probably the highest that I would go. Would I give it to a new bourbon drinker? Out of the question. They have like a spicy kick, and the BEP is no different. It has a nice little spice in it, and it comes in at 110.7, which is pretty much 111 proof, and I think that will tear a new bourbon drinker's face up. So I would not give it to a new bourbon drinker. Will it always be on the bar? Yes, it will always be on the bar. Even though they close this chapter of the wood finishing series, whatever they come out with next will always be on the bar. And with that being said, let the whiskey flow. Never run out unless you head it to a drop. Till next time.